Getting ready to take off that water pump, draining the coolant here from the radiator. I'm going to try to reuse that and save from having to buy some more. This has already been quite costly, so try to make up as much as we can here. I'll be taking the water pump off here. I'm not sure how many bolts there are. We'll have to slide it over this, so we'll be taking the nut off for that, as well as right here. Hopefully we'll have room to remove the water pump. I do have a jack underneath. The oil pan, in case we need to jack up the engine and clear the area right here. So we'll just have to wait and see. So we'll let the coolant get out of here, and then we'll start taking the bolts off. Before trying to get the water pump off, I'm going to go ahead and take the idler pulley off right here. We'll go underneath the wheel well here and take a look at it. Right here, you know, the tensioner goes like right here and pushes up on the belt, and we've already removed the tensioner, so this idler pulley here is held on by this hex. I believe I have it right here. H10. And I think that's a 3/8. So let's go ahead and remove this before we remove the water pump. Okay, there's a washer too. Right. That may stay on there, so using a 10mm, I've loosened all of these water pump bolts except for the last one here. Don't want to strip these if you can help it, at least. So on the water pump bolts, I've got them all off except for one more, and they're on there pretty snug. I don't know the torque, I'll try to find that out later, but here we go. Okay, I should be able to get them all out by hand here. Now they may be different sizes, so I need to make note of that. This is just a nut. Maybe they're all nuts. Yeah, 2 nuts. Okay, here we have a bolt over here, closest to the firewall here. It's kind of the top one right here. Those two look to be the same size. Alright, I've got looks like one more bolt here on the water pump, and I can see it draining out already. I believe all these bolts are going to be the same. There's two nuts over, or two studs, so I just took two nuts off. Thought I would have to break a seal, but yeah, I believe all these are the same, so let's see. Now I'm going to have to slide it off of these two here. I've still got the nuts on those. There we go. Oh, that's going to come rushing out. You hear that? Okay, now for the tricky part, let's hope that we can get this pump off these two studs here without having to jack up the engine. So close. All right, jacked it up probably ½ an inch. Now able to get the pump off. Gasket. Alright, going to clean the surface here with my wire brush. Got some cleaner here, or this is actually brake parts cleaner. You could use acetone, you could use, I guess, degreaser. Just basically cleaning this crap off here so that we can put the new one on there and it will seal well. So I bought this Aisin TKT 026. This is the kit for timing belt, the tensioner, two idler pulleys. That's the tensioner there. Water pump. So here's the gasket, part metal, part rubber. Aisin K1. Okay, while we've got it jacked up, let's go ahead and at least put it in place, and maybe I'll tighten it tonight if I have enough time, or maybe tomorrow. Gasket is now on, these two studs as well as the water pump. So I'm just going to line it up here with the other studs over here. And just put our bolts back in place. Water pump, 4 water pump bolts and the 2 nuts tightened down to 71 inch-pounds. Now it's time to put the cover number 3 on.
Put it on first.
All right, so here's the lower idler pulley that the tensioner goes against. That's from our kit. Here's the old one, so we're going to take the bolt and use the bolt from the older one since we didn't have a new one. There's a sleeve, see that sleeve there? You'll pull that out and put that in position of the new one here. Then there's a washer right here that you put on after you slide that through. So go ahead and do that. You can do that. Okay. Let's put that washer on and then put it on the car just like that with the hex. There'll be a hex wrench. Okay, so it goes just like you're holding it. You gotta put it underneath there.
Yeah.
Oh, take it out, take it out. I gotta put some thread locker on it. With the idler pulley here, the tensioner pulley, I'm going to put a little bit of blue thread lock. First 2 or 3 threads is what I'm trying to do. Well, that stuff is thin. Okay, so take it away from here. Lower idler pulley is torqued to 25 foot-pounds. Next, I'll be putting the upper cam pulley and lower cam pulley back on, torquing them down to 91 foot-pounds. Next, the top idler pulley or the upper idler pulley goes on with the 14mm socket. And that will be torqued down to 32 foot-pounds. Here's a look at the new tensioner. We're going to go ahead and bolt this on. Once we get the belt lined up, then we'll tighten it or torque the bolts down and pull the pin and tighten the belt. But for now, we're just going to go ahead and bolt it on and then put our belt on. Like you see here, and you want to line it up with the mark back here on the back. Same back here. And that one really needs kind of a mirror to see, but it is lined up to the back. Then I fed the belt through here over the water pump, just like the configuration that you see. And then we put it on with the dotted lines lined up on the crankshaft. With the mark right here. Let's see if I can get a shot of the, yeah, see the line, the dotted lines there. So what we're going to do is, and then once we got it tight, I actually pulled it on from the lower idler pulley. If it's really super hard to put on and you've already put the idler pulley on, you may want to just loosen the bolts, and then you'll be able to pull it on. That's how we did it. Now it's still loose because we haven't pulled the spring here on our tensioner, so we will do that. And you can see the dimple is top dead center there, right here. So it's still loose because we have not pulled the pin on the tensioner yet, but everything should be at top dead center here. We're back with our lines again, or should be. So what we're going to do now is we're going to let me just back up for a second. Now, after I got it lined up down here, I actually pulled the belt on over this lower idler pulley here, and it was pretty hard to do. Now, if you have trouble doing that, and we were just about to do this, if you already have the tensioner in place and tightened down all the way, you may have to loosen the bolts just to get the belt back on. So we do have the bolts now tightened down on this tensioner, and we are going to pull the tensioner pin here in just a second here, remove our clamps here, and try to give it a first time start. Okay, right before we pull the pin, we're just looking and making sure all the teeth are engaged with the sprocket. All the teeth engaged down here?
Yeah.
Okay, you can go ahead and pull the spring from the tensioner, and the belt should tighten up. Okay, it hasn't, yeah, it is. It's tightening. May need a little bit of help. Yeah, there's no slack at all. Teeth look all engaged. Okay, now with from manually, let's go down the crankshaft and let's turn it over twice. Make sure that it turns okay and there's no like locking or noise, like a piston hitting a valve or something. Let's do that. I just rotated the crankshaft twice. We're back at top dead center. Now we're going to check the camshaft pulleys and see they're lined up. This one is. This one is. I just can't get my camera in there really to. Yeah, see it? There. So it is, it should be in time. We're going to connect the coolant reservoir, add some coolant before we try to start it. Started right up. Okay, what I want to look for before I put the cover back on and before I put the timing belt guide and attach the accessory belts and all that, I want to run it. It's getting a little dark tonight, but I want to run it and check for any oil leaks in those seals that I replaced, and maybe even, you know, make sure that the water pump's not leaking. Okay, so we put this little guide plate on here. Now we put the number 1 cover on. It's got 1, 2, 3, 4 bolts. One of those is going to be shared with the other cover, number 2 cover. Got the power steering pump is now on. Power steering pump belt is now on. Had to make adjustments up here to move the pulley so that I could get the belt on. Is on the harmonic balancer there on the inside pulley. Now to tighten the crankshaft bolt here, I've got the old alternator belt and I've just wrapped it like you see here. End is free, so when I start turning it should catch in here and I should be able to get 159 foot-pounds of torque on the bolt here. Where are you overlapped at?
On top.
Okay, so the belt is overlapped on top. Okay, go ahead and try to torque it. At 159?
Yeah, I think so.
Got it on the alternator pulley here. Got it on the crankshaft pulley or harmonic balancer. Okay, now for tightening that, got a pivot bolt here, and we've got the adjustment bolt right here. Before we can adjust it, we're going to have to go to the bolt right underneath there and loosen that bolt. Once that bolt is loosened, then we can go ahead and tighten the adjustment bolt. That will tighten our belt. And here's that belt. Got it on the alternator pulley here. Got it on the crankshaft pulley or harmonic balancer. Okay, now for tightening that, got a pivot bolt here, and we've got the adjustment bolt right here. Before we can adjust it, we're going to have to go to the bolt right underneath there and loosen that bolt. Once that bolt is loosened, then we can go ahead and tighten the adjustment bolt. That will tighten our belt up. Once we get it tightened where we want it, then we'll retighten that, I think it's called a pinch bolt. That's tightened, and then we can tighten our pivot bolt here. Making sure the belt is in the grooves of the pulleys, and just tightening it here at the tensioner. I want to have about a 1/4 inch slack at the very center point. Looking pretty good right there. And lastly, we'll put this splash shield skirt deal on here. And that should be it.